Listen carefully. Many are crying for love, yet few are willing to build it. We live in a world where passion burns fast, promises break easily, and trust is shattered in silence. But let me tell you this. If you want a love that stands the test of time, if you want a relationship that cannot be shaken by storms, you must go deeper than emotions. Feelings may start the fire, but wisdom keeps it burning. And wisdom demands that you master the art of love, rooted in truth, purpose, and spiritual strength. Love cannot thrive in fear. Where fear exists, doubt poisons the heart. But where faith grows, love expands beyond boundaries. To build a stronger bond, you must choose trust, not suspicion. Trust is not naive, it is courageous. It is the decision to believe in someone's actions over their words, to watch consistency speak louder than promises. Do not lose yourself in love. Many think intimacy is dissolving into another person, but real intimacy is two complete souls walking hand in hand, not two broken halves trying to fill each other's emptiness. When you detach emotionally, you don't stop caring. You simply stop clinging. You learn to love with freedom, not fear. This is the kind of detachment that gives your love power, because love without chains breathes, and love that breathes endures. To build unshakable trust, you must practice consistency. Promises mean little if they are not lived out daily. Show up with actions that echo your words. Let your integrity become the language your partner understands without speaking. Be vulnerable, but be wise. Do not hand your heart recklessly to someone who has not proven they can hold it. Vulnerability with discernment is strength. It invites connection while preserving dignity. Learn the art of silence. Not every disagreement requires your voice to dominate. Sometimes the greatest proof of love is to listen, to create space for the other heart to be heard. In that silence, healing begins, and trust is reborn. Respect is the soil where love grows. Without respect, even the most passionate love will wither into bitterness. Respect keeps the fire clean. It purifies love from selfishness and control. And above all, let your love have a purpose beyond pleasure. Love anchored in divine purpose can withstand storms, while love rooted only in fleeting feelings is swept away. Purpose-driven love is not shaken by circumstance, it is strengthened by it. Bring the best version of yourself into your relationship. When you master your emotions, your thoughts, your habits, you bring peace instead of chaos, clarity instead of confusion, and strength instead of weakness. Self-mastery is the greatest gift you can ever offer. Understand this. Love is not possession. Love is not control. Love is partnership, freedom, and alignment. When you stop trying to own, you begin to truly cherish. When you stop trying to control, you begin to truly respect. And when you stop clinging, you begin to truly love. Love grows when trust is stronger than fear and faith is stronger than doubt. This truth is the heartbeat of every relationship that lasts through time. Fear is the silent destroyer of love. It creeps into the mind, whispering suspicions, planting insecurities, and magnifying flaws until the heart becomes restless and defensive. Where fear rules, love cannot breathe freely. Fear makes you question loyalty even when there is no reason. Fear makes you interpret silence as rejection, busyness as abandonment, and mistakes as betrayal. Fear will never allow love to grow, because love requires openness, vulnerability, and surrender, while fear insists on self-protection, control, and suspicion. But when trust rises above fear, the atmosphere of love changes. Trust is not the absence of risk, it is the choice to believe in the good intention of the one you love despite uncertainty. Trust does not mean blindness, it means courage. It is the decision to lean into connection even when your mind tempts you to hold back. Trust is the soil where love can take root, because without it, every word, every action, every silence will be doubted, dissected, and distorted. Love suffocates in such an environment, but when trust is stronger, love flourishes. It gives space for mistakes without condemnation, for silence without panic, for distance without despair. Faith is the twin pillar beside trust. Faith is stronger than doubt when you believe not only in the one you love, but in the greater purpose that brought you together. Doubt questions constantly. What if they change? What if they leave? What if I am not enough? Faith answers, if this love was divinely aligned, then it will endure. If we both choose to nurture it, then it will grow. Faith silences the endless what ifs with the strength of what is. Doubt lives in the unknown future. Faith lives in the present commitment. When love is anchored in trust and faith, storms may come, but they do not destroy. Misunderstandings may rise, but they do not divide. Distance may stretch, but it does not disconnect. Because the foundation is not fear of losing, but the faith of keeping. This creates security. And from security comes freedom, the freedom to be yourself, to grow, to stretch, to stumble, and to rise again without the fear that your imperfection will break the bond. This kind of love is rare because it requires maturity. Many enter relationships seeking to be assured, but they have not yet mastered the art of assurance within themselves. They carry insecurities as weapons, waiting for any reason to doubt, to accuse, to withdraw. Yet true love demands inner healing, because only a healed soul can extend trust, and only a confident spirit can hold faith. Trusting another begins with trusting yourself, your judgment, your worth, your capacity to love. Having faith in someone else begins with having faith in the God who writes your story, believing that even if the journey shakes, it will not shatter what is meant to stand. When trust is greater than fear, you do not seek to control because you believe in the other person's integrity. When faith is stronger than doubt, you do not panic at uncertainty because you are anchored in something higher than circumstance. And from that ground, love grows unshakable, deep, and eternal. Love is not sustained by grand gestures alone, but by the quiet consistency of showing up for one another. Many people think love is proven in the heights of romance, the gifts, the celebrations, the passionate words whispered at night. Yet, love's true strength is revealed in the small, unseen daily commitments. It is in the way you choose patience instead of anger when your partner is late. It is in the way you listen fully when they are weary, even when you too are tired. It is in the way you forgive, not because it is easy, but because the relationship matters more than the mistake. Consistency builds safety. Safety builds trust. And trust builds a love that does not tremble at the first sign of pressure. Love that thrives is not found in moments of perfection, but in the rhythm of reliability. When someone knows you will be there, not only in joy but in struggle, then love takes root at a depth that cannot be shaken by mere circumstances. Consistency communicates. I am here. You can count on me. My words match my actions. My heart matches my promises. Without this, love becomes unstable, tossed around by emotions and moods, unable to stand when challenges arrive. This is why emotional detachment is so essential. Detachment does not mean coldness. It means choosing principle over impulse. It is the ability to remain steady even when your emotions pull you in directions that would cause harm. In love, detachment looks like the discipline of showing up in kindness, even when irritation burns within you. It is the ability to honor your partner's dignity, even when conflict tempts you to lash out. It is the strength to stay consistent in love, even when feelings rise and fall. Feelings are fragile. They shift with seasons. But commitment is the anchor that keeps love secure. Consistency also means keeping your word. Words spoken without action erode love. Promises broken repeatedly cut deeper than betrayal. But when your partner sees you fulfill even the smallest of commitments, whether it is being present when you said you would or honoring boundaries you agreed upon, they learn to rest in your word. This rest becomes the soil of intimacy. For love grows not when people perform perfection, but when they feel safe enough to be imperfect together. Safety is born of consistency. Think of the seasons of life. There will be moments of joy, laughter, and ease. But there will also be moments of pain, uncertainty, and struggle. What carries love through the storms is not how passionately you felt at the start, but how faithfully you walked together when the path was unclear. Consistency says, even in the dark, I will walk with you. Even when I don't understand, I will not abandon you. Even when I stumble, I will rise again and we will continue. This builds a trust that no fear can erode. Consistency transforms love from mere emotion into a covenant. It shapes the relationship into something larger than two individuals. It becomes a living bond, strengthened daily by choices. Every moment you choose patience, you lay a stone. Every act of forgiveness, another stone. Every time you show up, listen, protect, or nurture, you are building a structure that can withstand the storms. And in the end, what makes love unshakable is not how loudly it begins, but how consistently it endures. True intimacy is not built in the absence of conflict, but in the way two people choose to navigate it. Many fear conflict as if it signals the end of love, yet the truth is conflict simply reveals where deeper understanding is needed. In fact, conflict handled with maturity and wisdom becomes the doorway to stronger connection because it forces two hearts to grow beyond ego and into empathy. The issue is never whether conflict will arise. It is inevitable whenever two human beings with different perspectives, desires, and backgrounds join together. The real test is whether both partners have the courage to face it with humility rather than hostility. When conflict arises, the natural impulse is to defend ourselves. Our egos whisper, I must win this argument, I must be right. But love is not a battlefield of victories. It is a sanctuary where truth must be spoken in love. Emotional detachment here becomes crucial. Detachment does not mean silence or avoidance. It means separating your worth from the disagreement. It means realizing you are not diminished by admitting you were wrong, nor are you superior when proven right. Detachment allows you to respond from a place of clarity rather than reaction, from a place of seeking resolution rather than domination. Healthy conflict management requires listening more than speaking. When you listen deeply, you are not simply waiting for your turn to reply. You are entering the world of your partner, seeking to understand their pain, their perspective, and their heart. Listening with presence disarms defensiveness and builds trust. It says, you matter. I value what you feel. I will not dismiss you. This practice transforms conflict from a wall into a bridge. The very moment your partner feels heard, the tension begins to soften and love gains the strength to endure. Another element of handling conflict wisely is timing. Not every storm must be addressed in the heat of its fury. Sometimes wisdom is knowing when to step back, breathe, and return with calmness. Speaking in anger can create wounds far deeper than the issue at hand. Detachment gives you the strength to pause, to release the need for instant vindication, and to prioritize the health of the relationship over temporary emotions. By doing so, the conflict becomes a space for healing rather than destruction. Equally important is the art of compromise. Compromise is not weakness, it is strength, clothed in humility. It is the recognition that no one person holds the full truth. Love flourishes when both are willing to bend, to give, and to adjust. Forgiveness is the final act of conflict resolution. No matter how carefully words are chosen, mistakes will be made. Hurts will surface, but forgiveness keeps love alive. It is the choice to release resentment and not chain your partner to their past errors. Forgiveness is not about erasing memory. It is about refusing to let bitterness poison the bond. Each act of forgiveness strengthens resilience, ensuring the relationship can weather storms without collapsing under their weight. Trust is not built on grand gestures alone, but on the quiet, consistent actions that prove reliability over time. It is often the small, repeated demonstrations of dependability that form the foundation of unshakable love. Trust does not suddenly appear. It is cultivated like a seed, watered daily with faithfulness, honesty, and integrity. When a partner learns that your words match your actions, that your promises are not empty but honored, they begin to rest in the safety of your character. This is where love truly grows, when both hearts can lean on the certainty that what is spoken will be lived. Consistency is powerful because it removes uncertainty. It tells your partner you can depend on me, not sometimes, but always. Love cannot thrive where doubt dominates. Doubt creates cracks in intimacy, leaving space for suspicion, fear, and insecurity to creep in. But when reliability becomes a habit, doubt has no ground to stand on. Imagine the difference between a partner who only shows care in moments of convenience and one who shows care even when it is costly. The latter demonstrates love that is steady and true, and that steadiness becomes the very soil in which trust takes root. The danger many relationships face is inconsistency, where words are plentiful but actions lack alignment. Promises are made in moments of passion but abandoned when life becomes demanding. This creates wounds deeper than betrayal itself, for inconsistency communicates that one cannot be relied upon. Trust begins to erode, not because of one large failure, but because of countless small fractures where commitment was absent. To build trust that cannot be shaken, one must learn the discipline of showing up every time, not just when convenient. Reliability also demands honesty, for truth is the oxygen of trust. Without honesty, no matter how kind the gestures, doubt lingers in the shadows. Transparency may feel risky, but it is what strengthens the fabric of love. When you hide, deceive, or distort truth, you are planting seeds of uncertainty that will grow into suspicion. But when you dare to be authentic, when you choose truth over comfort, you allow love to rest on a foundation that cannot be shaken. Honesty is not simply about avoiding lies. It is about being consistent in presenting your heart, your struggles, your needs, and your intentions. Reliability is also tested most in the hard seasons. It is easy to be dependable when life is smooth, but true reliability shines when challenges press in. When your partner sees that your commitment does not waver under stress, that your love does not weaken when circumstances grow heavy, they begin to trust not just your words, but your very character. To be reliable is to embody steadfastness in the storms, to stand as a pillar of strength when the winds of uncertainty blow. Every act of dependability, showing up on time, keeping your word, following through with what you promised, may seem small in isolation, but together they form an unbreakable chain of trust. Over time, those actions speak louder than any declaration of love. Words inspire, but consistent actions sustain. Without the daily choice of reliability, love is reduced to fleeting emotion. With it, love becomes anchored in something unmovable. Trust, once rooted in reliability, becomes the strongest safeguard against fear and doubt. It whispers to your partner, "You are safe here, you can rest here. I will not abandon what we are building." And when two people create that kind of certainty for each other, the bond rises above the fragile foundations of feelings and enters the realm of covenant, where love becomes not only unshakable but eternal. One of the most powerful forces in building an unshakable relationship is the ability to communicate openly and with vulnerability. Communication is more than words exchanged between two people. It is the lifeline of intimacy, the bridge that connects hearts, and the safe place where two souls meet without masks. Without it, even the strongest feelings wither away, for love cannot thrive in silence. Many relationships fail, not because the love is absent, but because the conversations that sustain that love are avoided. To truly build a bond of trust and love, one must be willing to speak the unspoken, to share not only victories but fears, not only joys but insecurities. Vulnerability in communication requires courage because it involves opening your heart without guarantee of how it will be received. It is easier to stay guarded, to show only strength, to hide wounds behind walls. But walls do not protect relationships, they suffocate them. Honesty is the soil in which vulnerability grows. To be honest is to resist the temptation to present only what is acceptable or convenient. It is the choice to let your words align with your reality. Many couples struggle because they speak but do not truly communicate. They exchange updates about their days but withhold the deeper truths of their souls. They avoid uncomfortable conversations for fear of conflict, not realizing that avoidance breeds distance. Unspoken words often weigh heavier than arguments, for silence leaves the heart guessing and assumptions grow like weeds in the absence of clarity. Effective communication also demands listening, not merely hearing words, but seeking to understand the heart behind them. To listen is to humble oneself, to step out of one's own perspective and honor the perspective of the other. True listening requires patience, presence, and empathy. When a partner feels heard, not just acknowledged but understood, it reinforces their sense of worth and belonging in the relationship. Listening is one of the purest forms of love, for it communicates you matter, your feelings are important, your voice deserves space here. Openness in communication creates resilience. because it prevents small issues from festering into large cracks. Many conflicts that tear relationships apart are not born from one catastrophic event, but from the accumulation of unresolved tensions, unmet expectations, and suppressed emotions. When a couple learns to bring everything into the light quickly, no matter how uncomfortable, they rob the enemy of division of its power. Transparency keeps the relationship free from hidden resentments and unspoken doubt. At the heart of open communication is emotional safety. A partner will only risk vulnerability when they know their words will not be used against them, when they are assured that their honesty will not be met with ridicule, dismissal, or betrayal. This requires creating an environment of respect where even in moments of disagreement, dignity is preserved. It is in such an environment that two people can share their deepest truths and still feel secure in love. The couple that communicates openly builds trust like a fortress. Every honest conversation becomes a brick, every vulnerable admission becomes mortar, and every act of listening strengthens the walls. Over time, that fortress becomes unshakable, not because storms never come, but because the bond forged in truth and vulnerability cannot be destroyed by lies or silence. Where communication flows freely, love thrives endlessly, and trust becomes unbreakable. Respect is the foundation upon which every lasting relationship stands, and without it, even the most passionate love eventually crumbles. Love may ignite the flame, but respect keeps it burning steadily through the storms of life. Respect in a relationship is not merely about politeness or outward gestures. It is about recognizing the sacred worth of the person you are with and treating them in alignment with that recognition. It is about seeing them as more than a partner who fulfills your needs, but as a human being with their own dreams, fears, values, and identity that deserve to be honored. When respect is present, words are measured carefully, for one understands that language can heal or wound. Partners who respect each other avoid belittling comments, sarcasm meant to degrade, or dismissive attitudes that diminish the other's worth. Respect also manifests in the way boundaries are acknowledged. Every individual enters a relationship with personal values, past experiences, and emotional limits that form the fabric of who they are. To respect your partner is to understand and honor those boundaries rather than crossing them carelessly. It is to know when to give space, when to listen, and when to step back. Disrespect often shows up as control, manipulation, or disregard for the other's individuality, and such behaviors weaken trust. But when boundaries are honored, they strengthen the bond, because each partner feels secure in being their authentic self without fear of being overpowered or diminished. Another dimension of respect is valuing each other's contributions and acknowledging them openly. Relationships weaken when one person feels unseen, unappreciated, or taken for granted. Respect ensures that effort is noticed, that sacrifices are acknowledged, and that gratitude is expressed regularly. Whether it is a partner working hard to provide or one offering emotional support through difficult seasons, respect demands recognition of that effort. A simple acknowledgement can nourish the relationship in profound ways, while neglecting appreciation can starve it of connection. Respect also requires patience, for no one is perfect, and every relationship involves navigating differences. When respect governs interactions, those differences do not become reasons to withdraw love or belittle the other, but opportunities to grow in understanding and compassion. Respect allows for disagreement without disrespect, for correction without humiliation, and for accountability without cruelty. It creates a safe space where mistakes can be admitted without fear of being devalued. Perhaps one of the most overlooked aspects of respect is self-respect within the relationship. When you respect yourself, you do not allow mistreatment, dishonesty, or neglect to define your worth. You set standards not from arrogance, but from an understanding that love without respect is not love at all. Self-respect teaches your partner how to treat you, just as their self-respect teaches you how to treat them. Two individuals who carry self-respect and extend mutual respect build a bond that is not easily shaken, for neither tries to control or diminish the other. Instead, they empower each other. Ultimately, respect is not a one-time act, but a daily commitment. It is expressed in tone, in behavior, in choices, and in the way partners prioritize each other's humanity above their own convenience. A relationship where respect thrives becomes a sanctuary of love and trust, where both partners feel safe, valued, and honored for who they truly are. And in such a sanctuary, love does not just survive. it flourishes into something unshakable. Trust is the invisible thread that holds two hearts together, and without it, even the strongest love begins to unravel. Building trust is not an overnight achievement. It is a steady process woven into the daily actions, choices, and commitments we make toward one another. Trust requires consistency, honesty, and vulnerability, and it deepens when both partners prove over time that their words and actions align. It is not enough to say you can be trusted. Trust is earned by showing reliability in moments big and small, by keeping promises even when it is inconvenient, and by being a safe place for each other's deepest truths. At the core of trust is honesty. When partners commit to truthfulness, they create an environment where secrets, lies, and hidden agendas cannot thrive. Honesty does not mean perfection or avoiding mistakes, but it does mean openness, speaking the truth even when it is uncomfortable, admitting faults when they occur, and being willing to confront issues rather than hiding them. When honesty flows freely, trust grows naturally, because both individuals know that transparency is the foundation of their connection. Without this honesty, suspicion and doubt creep in, eroding love from within. Trust is also reinforced by dependability. To trust someone is to know that when storms come, they will not abandon you. It is to be certain that they will show up not only in moments of joy, but also in moments of pain, disappointment, and challenge. Dependability is demonstrated in the small things, calling when they said they would, following through on commitments, or being emotionally available when it matters most. Each act of reliability adds a brick to the fortress of trust, creating a sense of stability in the relationship. Another critical element of trust is vulnerability. True intimacy requires letting down walls and allowing another person to see your fears, weaknesses, and insecurities. This openness can only exist when both partners feel safe from judgment or betrayal. To build unshakable trust, each person must guard the other's vulnerability with care, never weaponizing it in conflict or exposing it outside the relationship. When vulnerability is respected, it breeds deeper connection, because both individuals know they can be fully seen without fear of rejection. Forgiveness also plays a vital role in trust building. Mistakes are inevitable in any relationship, and holding on to past failures creates a wall between two hearts. Rebuilding trust after it has been broken is challenging, but not impossible. It requires humility from the one who caused the breach and a willingness to extend grace from the one who was hurt. Trust cannot be repaired by words alone. It must be restored through consistent actions that prove change. Forgiveness does not erase the past, but it opens the door for trust to grow again, stronger and wiser than before. Mutual respect and loyalty further sustain trust. When partners know that their hearts are protected, that their dreams are honored, and that their love is valued, trust becomes unshakable. Loyalty assures each person that they will not be betrayed, neglected, or abandoned for fleeting desires. Ultimately, trust is the quiet assurance that you are safe in someone else's care. It is the peace that comes from knowing that your heart is handled with gentleness, that your secrets are guarded, and that your love is. When trust is fully established, a relationship becomes unshakable because both individuals stand on a foundation that no storm can destroy. Trust transforms love from a fragile emotion into an enduring covenant, a bond that grows stronger with every act of faith, honesty, and loyalty. Healthy boundaries are not walls that separate partners, but bridges that allow love to flow freely without suffocating individuality. In relationships, many people mistake love for complete enmeshment, where every aspect of one's identity is surrendered to the other. But true love thrives not in control or overdependence, but in freedom. Boundaries are the invisible lines that define where one person ends and the other begins, ensuring that both partners maintain their sense of self while contributing to the unity of the relationship. Without boundaries, love can easily slip into possession, mistrust, or emotional exhaustion, leaving both partners drained rather than strengthened. Boundaries communicate self-respect. When you set clear limits about how you want to be treated, You are declaring that your needs, emotions, and well-being matter. This does not mean shutting down or being distant, but rather teaching others what behaviors you will accept and what behaviors violate your values. For example, refusing to tolerate disrespectful language or dishonesty does not weaken the bond. It strengthens it because it establishes a standard of honor within the relationship. When both partners understand and respect each other's boundaries, love becomes safer, healthier, and more enduring. Another important aspect of boundaries is emotional independence. Many relationships struggle when one partner seeks to have every emotional need met solely by the other. While intimacy involves supporting and caring for each other, no human being can carry the full weight of another's happiness. Boundaries remind us that we are responsible for our own healing, growth, and inner peace. When both partners cultivate wholeness within themselves, they come together not as incomplete individuals trying to fill a void, but as two complete beings sharing love abundantly. Boundaries also prevent resentment. In relationships without clear boundaries, one partner often overgives, sacrifices beyond their capacity, or tolerates behaviors that hurt them. Over time, this leads to frustration, bitterness, and emotional distance. By voicing limits honestly and respectfully, both partners can protect the relationship from hidden resentment. Saying no when necessary, asking for space when overwhelmed, or asserting personal values may feel uncomfortable at first, but it ultimately nurtures long-term harmony and trust. Boundaries are also vital in preserving individuality. While unity is important, love should not erase personal dreams, passions, or identities. Each partner is a unique soul with gifts, callings, and aspirations, and these must be honored for the relationship to remain strong. Supporting each other's individuality rather than demanding conformity allows the relationship to grow richer as both bring their fullest selves into the partnership. When individuality is respected, the relationship becomes a place of expansion, not limitation. Spiritual and emotional boundaries further deepen connection. It is important for partners to allow each other room to connect with God, to reflect, to meditate, and to nurture their inner world. Without these moments of spiritual grounding, relationships can become drained by constant demands. By honoring each other's spiritual space, couples strengthen not only their bond with one another, but also their alignment with divine purpose. Boundaries in communication are equally crucial. Speaking respectfully, listening without interruption, and avoiding words that wound are all forms of boundary setting that preserve emotional safety. When couples agree on how to resolve conflict and what lines should never be crossed, arguments no longer destroy the relationship, but instead become opportunities for growth and deeper understanding. In essence, boundaries are the silent protectors of love. They guard against toxicity, foster mutual respect, and ensure that both partners continue to thrive as individuals and as a couple. They are not restrictions, but guidelines that preserve dignity, nurture balance, and allow love to remain pure. With healthy boundaries, love does not weaken under the weight of control or unmet needs. It flourishes, becoming unshakable because it is built on freedom, respect, and mutual honor. Forgiveness is one of the most profound pillars that hold a relationship together, not because it erases pain, but because it frees the heart from being chained to the weight of the past. In every relationship, there will be moments of disappointment, misunderstandings, and even hurt. No matter how much love exists, human beings are imperfect, and imperfections often show themselves in words spoken without thought or actions taken without consideration. When forgiveness is absent, those wounds become scars that harden the heart, making intimacy difficult and trust fragile. Forgiveness, therefore, is not an optional act. It is a necessity for love to survive and deepen. Forgiveness also creates space for vulnerability. When partners know they will not be condemned or perpetually punished for their mistakes, they feel safe enough to open up, admit their faults, and commit to doing better. This transparency deepens trust and intimacy because it removes the fear of rejection and replaces it with reassurance that love is greater than shortcomings. Relationships thrive when people feel safe to be human, and forgiveness is what provides that safety. Forgiveness also teaches patience. In some cases, the same mistakes may be repeated, not out of malice, but out of human weakness. This does not mean enduring abuse or ignoring harmful patterns, but it does mean allowing room for growth. Real love recognizes that transformation takes time. To forgive is to see the potential in your partner, to believe that they can rise above their flaws, and to support them in their journey of becoming better. Such patience builds resilience in the relationship, making it withstand trials that would otherwise destroy weaker bonds. In addition, forgiveness opens the door to reconciliation. It rebuilds bridges that anger and pain may have broken. Even in the most fractured relationships, forgiveness can breathe life again, creating the possibility of restoration. Without forgiveness, bitterness festers, widening the distance between hearts. With forgiveness, however, healing flows, bringing back unity, peace, and the joy of companionship. Finally, forgiveness aligns a relationship with divine principles. Love itself is sustained by grace, and forgiveness is the practical expression of that grace. When couples practice forgiveness, they are not only healing their bond, but also reflecting the higher love that calls them to rise above selfishness and pride. In this way, forgiveness transforms relationships into sacred unions, built not on perfection, but on the willingness to keep choosing love despite imperfection. A relationship without gratitude eventually runs dry, because love cannot thrive where appreciation is absent. Gratitude is more than simply saying thank you. It is the recognition of value, the conscious act of seeing the worth in your partner, and the acknowledgement of even the smallest gestures that often go unnoticed. In many relationships, the day-to-day responsibilities, challenges, and routines can cause partners to overlook each other's efforts. Over time, this creates a sense of being taken for granted, which weakens the emotional bond. Gratitude, however, keeps love alive by ensuring that both people feel seen, valued, and cherished. When partners practice gratitude, they create an atmosphere where love flourishes naturally. A kind word, a thoughtful action, or even the consistent presence of a partner in times of difficulty can all become opportunities to show appreciation. Gratitude doesn't wait for grand gestures. It finds beauty in the ordinary, recognizing that love is often expressed through simple acts of care. A word of encouragement, a meal cooked, a hand held during difficult times. All of these, when acknowledged, become sources of joy and deepen intimacy. The more gratitude is expressed, the more partners feel motivated to continue pouring into the relationship. Gratitude also shifts focus away from flaws and shortcomings. No one is perfect, and when partners choose to highlight only what is wrong, they magnify the imperfections until they overshadow everything good. Gratitude reverses this cycle by placing attention on what is working, what is admirable, and what is praiseworthy. This perspective not only nurtures appreciation for the partner, but also fosters contentment and peace within the relationship. Instead of being consumed by dissatisfaction, partners learn to celebrate each other, and this celebration becomes the fuel for resilience during difficult seasons. Another dimension of gratitude is that it creates reciprocity. When one partner expresses genuine appreciation, it inspires the other to respond with equal warmth and generosity. Gratitude becomes contagious, creating a cycle of love and positivity that strengthens the relationship. This cycle builds a foundation of trust because it reassures both partners that their efforts and presence matter. Gratitude says, I see you, I honor you, I value you. And in a world where so many people feel invisible, that acknowledgement becomes a powerful anchor for the heart. Gratitude also guards against entitlement, which is one of the silent killers of relationships. When a partner begins to feel that they deserve or are owed something without acknowledgement, it breeds resentment. Gratitude humbles the heart, reminding each person that love is a gift, not a demand. It transforms the relationship from a place of expectation into a place of appreciation, where both partners give freely and receive joyfully. This humility preserves harmony because it replaces complaints with thanksgiving and bitterness with joy. Furthermore, gratitude enhances emotional intimacy. Words of appreciation create emotional safety, reminding both partners that they are not only loved, but also respected and honored. This sense of security makes it easier to be vulnerable, to share fears and dreams, and to lean on each other in times of uncertainty. In this way, gratitude becomes a bridge that continually reconnects hearts, no matter what challenges arise. Gratitude is also deeply spiritual. It elevates the relationship beyond the physical and emotional, aligning it with a higher sense of purpose. When partners cultivate gratitude, they learn to see each other not merely as individuals, but as blessings entrusted to them. This sacred perspective inspires them to handle the relationship with care, reverence, and intentionality. Love becomes less about what can be taken and more about what can be honored and cherished. In the end, gratitude keeps the fire of love burning brightly. It is the daily practice that transforms ordinary relationships into extraordinary ones, where both partners feel uplifted and motivated to build a bond that is unshakable. Love that stands the test of time is not built on fleeting emotions, but on conscious choices, intentional actions, and a higher awareness of what truly matters. Trust, respect, gratitude, and emotional strength are not just words, they are the pillars that hold up unshakable love.